Hello, in today's video, we will learn in detail about human respiration with the help of diagrams. By the end of this video, you will have a clear conceptual understanding of types of respiration, differences between respiration and breathing, organs of respiratory exchange in various animals, pulmonary respiration in mammals, inspiration and expiration along with their differences, pulmonary air volumes, and finally, transport of gases. Let's define respiration. Respiration is a physiological activity of all living organisms involving the production of energy for carrying out all the metabolic activities of the body. It is the intake of oxygen and output of carbon dioxide from the oxidation of complex organic substances. The oxygen is used in the oxidation of digested food in the cell to liberate energy. Carbon dioxide produced is removed from the body. Steps involved in respiration are breathing, that is, diffusion of gases by blood. Second, diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide between blood and tissues. And finally, utilization of oxygen by the cells and release of carbon dioxide. Next, we come to types of respiration. Aerobic respiration. It is a metabolic process in which the energy is produced by the presence of oxygen. The glucose reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water with the release of energy. Anaerobic respiration. It is the type of respiration through which cells can break down sugars in the absence of oxygen and liberate energy. In yeast cells, glucose breaks down into ethanol and carbon dioxide with the release of energy. Anaerobic respiration is also seen in lactic acid bacteria producing lactic acid and carbon dioxide. This process is referred to as fermentation. Muscle cells in humans also form lactic acid when supply of oxygen is insufficient. Let us now learn about the differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. The breakdown of glucose in the presence of oxygen to produce more amount of energy is known as aerobic respiration. The breakdown of glucose in the absence of oxygen to produce energy is known as anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration occurs in cytoplasm and mitochondria. Anaerobic respiration occurs only in cytoplasm. End products of aerobic respiration are carbon dioxide, water, and energy. End products of anaerobic respiration are lactic acid or ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. In aerobic respiration, complete combustion of food takes place. In anaerobic respiration, incomplete combustion of food takes place. Aerobic respiration consists of 5 steps: glycolysis, pyruvate oxidation, tricarboxylic acid cycle, TCA cycle, electron transport system, ETS, and ATP synthesis. Anaerobic respiration consists of 2 steps: glycolysis and incomplete breakdown of pyruvate. 38 molecules of ATP is released in aerobic respiration. 2 molecules of ATP are released in anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is seen in all higher organisms. Example, mammals. Anaerobic respiration is seen in lower organisms like yeast, bacteria, etc. Next, we come to types of respiration. External respiration, it is the breathing process. It involves inhalation and exhalation of gases. Internal respiration involves gas exchange between the blood and body cells. Cellular respiration involves the conversion of food to energy. Aerobic respiration is a cellular respiration that requires oxygen, while anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen. By the way, if you are getting some value out of this lecture, please like and share the video so that all of us can learn, unlearn, and relearn together. Also, please consider subscribing the channel and press the bell icon to get instant notification of all the upcoming videos. Now, let us look into the differences between respiration and breathing. Respiration is a biochemical involuntary process. Breathing is a physical voluntary process. Respiration is a process of breakdown of glucose to produce energy. Breathing is a process of inhaling and exhaling the air in and out of the lungs. Respiration takes place in all the cells of the body. Breathing takes place in the lungs and nose. Respiration is an intracellular process as it occurs inside the cell. Breathing is an extracellular process as it occurs outside the cell. A number of enzymes are involved in respiration. Enzymes are not involved in anaerobic respiration. In respiration, energy is released in the form of ATP. In breathing, energy is not released. Next, we come to the organs of respiratory exchange in various animals. They are general body surface as seen in amoeba, skin cutaneous respiration seen in earthworm, through buccopharyngeal-lining known as buccopharyngeal respiration seen in frog, Respiration through gills, known as brachial respiration, example fish. Respiration through trachea, known as tracheal respiration, as seen in insects. Respiration through lungs, that is pulmonary respiration, example mammals. Let us look into each organ of respiration one by one. Respiration through general body surface. The body surface of the animals are in direct contact with the environment. Exchange of gases occurs directly between the cells and the surrounding medium across the plasma membrane through diffusion. It is seen in protists like amoeba, paramecium. In coelentrates like hydra, dissolved oxygen enters in its cells directly through general body surface and carbon dioxide comes out. Respiration through skin is known as cutaneous respiration. That is, exchange of gases through skin or integument. It is seen in earthworm. For this, the skin is thin, moist, vascular, and easily permeable to gases. The mucus glands present in the skin secretes mucus to keep the skin moist, and in addition, the skin is richly supplied with blood capillaries. Hemoglobin, a respiratory pigment present in the plasma of blood, absorbs the oxygen and forms oxyhemoglobin. It enters the tissue, liberates oxygen, releases energy, and produces carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide then diffuses out through the skin. Respiration through Buccopharyngeal-lining, known as Buccopharyngeal respiration, seen in frog. It occurs through the lining of the mouth. Moist mucous membrane of the buccal cavity functions as a surface for exchange of gases. This can only happen when the frog is not submerged in water. Tracheal respiration, that is through trachea, as seen in insects. In insects, the exchange of respiratory gases occur through a special system called tracheal system. The trachea communicate with the outside through lateral holes present on the body surface known as spiracles. These lead into finer tubules called trachea, which further branches into finer tracheoles and on reaching the body tissue form air sacs. Oxygen from the environment enters the spiracles, passes through trachea, tracheoles, and finally reaches the air sacs where exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Oxygen is taken in while carbon dioxide is given out through spiracles. Respiration through gills, known as brachial respiration, it is exhibited by fish. Exchange of gases takes place through gills as they are highly vascular and specialized for this function. The gills have number of gill plates which help to increase the surface area. Each gill plate is provided with many membranous gill lamellae. The blood present in gills absorb oxygen that is dissolved in water and gives out carbon dioxide from the blood out into the water. Respiration through lungs known as pulmonary respiration. Land animals such as birds and mammals breathe atmospheric air with the help of lungs. A pair of lungs is situated in the thoracic cavity. It consists of bronchioles and several minute air sacs or alveoli and an extensive network of blood vessels and capillaries. Now we will learn respiration in mammals in detail. Human respiratory system includes nostrils, nasal chambers, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveoli, lungs, diaphragm, and intercostal muscles. Nasal cavity communicates with the outside by a pair of nostrils or external nares. Internally, it is divided into two nasal chambers by a median partition known as nasal septum. Each nasal chamber has three parts: vestibular, conditioner, and olfactory region. Vestibular bears hair and oil glands which prevents the entry of dust particles. Conditioner is lined with ciliated epithelium and are rich in mucus glands which secrete mucus and help in trapping the dust particles. The cilia vibrate in the direction opposite to the inhaled air and helps in warming and moistening the air. The olfactory region takes part in perceiving the sensation of smell. The remaining area of each nasal chamber possesses three body projections called nasal conchae, which are covered with mucous membrane and greatly increase the surface area of the nasal chamber. Nasal cavity opens behind into nasopharynx by means of internal nares. Pharynx is differentiated into three parts: nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. Laryngopharynx is the anterior and lower part of the pharynx which contains epiglottis and leads behind into larynx. Larynx is a hollow tubular structure connected to the top of the windpipe, that is trachea. Air passes through the larynx and finally to the lungs. Glottis is the vocal apparatus of the larynx. It consists of the two vocal cords and the opening between them. During swallowing, the glottis is protected by a cartilaginous flap known as epiglottis. Larynx is covered by a broad C-shaped thyroid cartilage. Thyroid cartilage can be felt from outside as Adam's apple. Adam's apple is the sound producing organ which contains vocal cords. It is lined with mucous membrane and covered with ciliated epithelium. Trachea. From the nasal cavity, the air passes through the pharynx and enters the trachea, otherwise known as the windpipe. It possesses rings of cartilage articulated by ligaments. Trachea is lined internally by an epithelium having both ciliated and mucus secreting cells. The bronchi. In the middle of the thorax, the trachea bifurcates into right and left branches that pass into corresponding lungs. Inside the lungs, the branches divide and redivide to form many fine tubes called bronchioles. These bronchioles end in air sacs called alveoli. Pulmonary arteries and veins branch repeatedly, forming capillaries outside the air sacs. We come to lungs. They are a pair of conical, spongy, and highly elastic sacs which lie in the thoracic cavity, one on each side. Each lung is enclosed in a pleural sac. The enclosed cavity is called the pleural cavity. It is filled with a fluid called the pleural fluid. This fluid keeps the lungs moist, protects the lungs from mechanical injury or shock, allows frictionless sliding of pleural membrane during inspiration and expiration. Coming to external features of lungs, lungs are soft, spongy, elastic organs. The left lung has two lobes, left superior and left inferior. The left lung is smaller than the right lung. The right lung has three lobes, right superior, right middle, and right inferior. The lung consists of bronchioles, number of air sacs, and a network of blood vessels and capillaries. The single-layered alveolar wall is made up of squamous epithelium and is richly supplied with blood capillaries. Through these thin walls, gases are exchanged between the capillaries and the air sacs. The thoracic cavity and the diaphragm. The thoracic cavity encloses the lungs. It is bounded at the back by vertebral column and in front by the sternum, while the sides are formed by the ribs. The ribs are provided with internal intercostal muscles and external intercostal muscles which help in the inhalation and exhalation of the air. A dome-shaped diaphragm is present in the floor of the thoracic cavity. Mechanism of pulmonary respiration. Respiration includes breathing, external respiration, internal respiration, and cellular respiration. The process by which air comes in and goes out of the lungs is called breathing. Breathing includes inspiration and expiration. Inhalation or drawing in of air into the respiratory organs for exchange of gases is called inspiration. This takes place when the volume of the thoracic cavity is increased and the pressure is decreased. The following movements take place. The external intercostal muscles of the ribs contract. Pull the ribs upward and outward. Let us have a look at the diagram. It shows diaphragm, intercostal muscles, ribs, vertebral column. Is it clear? The muscles of the dome-shaped diaphragm contract. The diaphragm becomes flat. The abdominal muscles relax, resulting in the compression of the abdominal organs. With increase in volume and decrease in pressure in the thoracic cavity, atmospheric air rushes into them through the air passage. Inhalation is followed by exhalation or expiration. Exhalation or emitting of air out of the respiratory organs after the exchange of gases is called expiration. Internal intercostal muscles of the ribs contract and the ribs come back to their original position. Diaphragm relaxes and takes its original position. The compressed abdominal organs push the diaphragm upwards. As a result, the volume of the thoracic cavity reduces, lungs get compressed, pressure increases, and air rushes out through the external nares. Let us look into the differences between inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is the act of drawing air into the lungs. Expiration is the act of releasing air from the lungs. Inspiration is an active process. Expiration is a passive process. During inspiration, the diaphragm contracts and becomes flattened. During expiration, the diaphragm relaxes and becomes dome-shaped. The external intercostal muscles of the ribs contract during inspiration. The internal intercostal muscles of the ribs contract during expiration. The rib cage moves forward and outward during inspiration. During expiration, the rib cage moves downward and inward. During inspiration, the size of the thoracic cavity increases. During expiration, the size of the thoracic cavity decreases. During inspiration, air pressure inside lungs decreases due to the increase of volume of thoracic cavity. During expiration, Air pressure inside lungs increases due to the decrease of volume of the thoracic cavity. Air moves into the lungs during inspiration. Air moves out of the lungs during expiration. Oxygen is taken into the lungs during inspiration, while carbon dioxide is removed from the lungs during expiration. Now, let us look into the pulmonary air volumes. The following terms will help you to explain various pulmonary air volumes. Look at the diagram. You will find various terms like tidal volume, expiratory reserve volume, inspiratory reserve volume, residual volume, vital capacity, total lung capacity. Let's learn them one by one. Tidal volume, volume of air inspired or expired during a normal respiration. It is approximately 500 ml. Inspiratory reserve volume, the volume of forced inspired air in addition to normal inspired air is called inspiratory reserve volume. This averages 2500 ml to 3000 ml. Expiratory reserve volume ERV, the volume of air expired forcefully in addition to normal expired air, that is tidal volume, is called expiratory reserve volume. This averages 1000 ml to 1100 ml. Residual volume RV, the volume of air left in the lungs and respiratory passage after a maximum forced expiration is called residual volume. This averages 1100 ml to 1200 ml. Inspiratory capacity IC, total volume of air a person can inspire after a normal expiration. This includes TV and IRV. Expiratory capacity EC, total volume of air a person can expire after a normal inspiration. This includes tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. Functional residual capacity FRC, volume of air that remains in the lungs after a normal expiration. This includes ERV and RV. Vital capacity VC, the maximum volume of air which can be inspired and expired. This includes ERV, TV and IRV. It is about 4500 ml in males and 3000 ml in females. Total lung capacity, the volume of air in the lungs and respiratory passage after a maximum inspiration. This includes RV, ERV, TV and IRV or VC and RV. It is about 5,000 to 6,000 ml in adult males. Transport of gases can be studied under the following headings: external respiration, internal respiration, and cellular respiration. External respiration. Oxygen from the lungs diffuses into the lung capillaries, and carbon dioxide from the lung capillaries diffuses into lungs depending on the pressure gradient. Exchange of gases takes place between air and lungs. External respiration includes exchange of gases, formation of oxyhemoglobin, and release of carbon dioxide. Concentration of oxygen. The inspired air has partial pressure of oxygen equal to 104 mmHg. Alveolar blood has partial pressure oxygen equal to 40 mmHg. Concentration of carbon dioxide. Inspired air shows partial pressure of CO2 equal to 40 mmHg. Alveolar blood has partial pressure of carbon dioxide equal to 45 mmHg. This results in the exchange of oxygen from the air into the blood and carbon dioxide from blood into the air. Formation of oxyhemoglobin. Absorbed oxygen reacts with hemoglobin to form an unstable oxyhemoglobin. Release of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide from the blood is released in the air. In tissue cells, sodium and potassium bicarbonates are formed. They break down to form carbonic acid. Carbonic acid breaks down into carbon dioxide and water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase. Carbaminohemoglobin is also formed. It releases carbon dioxide. Coming to internal respiration, respiratory process takes place in the tissue cells. Oxygen, whose partial pressure is 95 mmHg in blood, goes to the tissue cells, and carbon dioxide, whose partial pressure is 40 mmHg in the tissue, is sent to the blood. Oxyhemoglobin breaks up to form hemoglobin and oxygen. Carbon dioxide dissolved in the water forms carbonic acid. Carbonic acid reacts with sodium and potassium and gets converted into sodium and potassium bicarbonates respectively. Major part of carbon dioxide is carried by blood in the form of bicarbonates. Some percentage of carbon dioxide passing into erythrocytes combines with hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin. Some carbon dioxide dissolves in the plasma and is carried to the lungs. Finally, we come to cellular respiration. It takes place mainly in the mitochondria of cells. ATP is formed. Carbon dioxide and water vapor are given out and transported by the blood to the lungs. So today we have learnt about respiratory gas exchange in mammals in detail. I have some practice questions for you. Please share your answers in the comment section below. You can pause the video if you like and write down the questions. Thank you so much for your time and participation. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing the channel and press the bell icon to get instant notification of all the upcoming videos. Also, if you want to discuss any particular topic in biology, please mention that in the comment section below. I'll see you there. Goodbye. All the best.